Hello everyone! Welcome or welcome back. I'm Ku, I go by Cooksy Online, and today I'll be drawing some of your OCs in my style. After my first video on this channel, I posted a community post asking you guys to send your OCs, and I received a bunch of amazing and unique OCs, so thank you. For this video, I decided to pick 3 OCs to draw. 1 headshot, 1 half body, and 1 full body. I tried my best to choose OCs that were diverse and detailed and just seem fun to draw. Also, I apologize in advance if I didn't draw your OC, but I hope to make another video drawing more of your amazing OCs, so be sure to look out for that. Now, before we delay this any longer, let's get into the video. The first OC I drew for the headshot was this pretty pink humanoid whale shark called Skylar by Shadowbean Arts 423. They describe how Skylar doesn't like wearing long pants but shorts instead, which I found pretty fitting to how they're a whale shark. Their references also show Skylar as this energetic and silly character, so I made sure the expression was very smiley and happy. I absolutely loved the colours for the OC and how Skylar was a whale shark. Their big hoodie that covers their hands was really cute, and I loved how the little fish charms on the end of their hoodie strings represented how they were a whale shark. Skylar really reminded me of Corona from Blue Lock with their pinkish hair and shark references. I've only drawn Corona once, but it was a lot of fun, so I really enjoyed drawing Skylar that reminded me of him. One thing I really liked about Skylar's design was their big whale shark tail, so I'm a little sad that I didn't get to draw the tail because this was a headshot, but I tried to incorporate some of the whale shark elements as the charms added to the end of the hoodie strings. Another thing I added was the little whale shark spots across their face, which I think added to the whole look of a humanoid whale shark. I struggled with the sketch for this drawing a lot at first because of the big sleeve that covered their hands. If you look at the speed draw, I think you can tell that I messed with the sketch a lot, but I managed to get it to look somewhat right at the end. This is what happens when you don't use a reference, guys, but I made sure to use a reference for the next 2 drawings. Also, I loved their fluffy pink hair. Something about coloured hair and fluffy hair in general makes me really happy, and it's really fun to draw. I also tried a new rendering style with the hair. I used my go-to pencil to just shade in the shadows to make the hair look a little bit wavy, and I think it really suited how the end result looked. One trait about my art is that I don't do line art, but instead I just clean up the sketch. But for this drawing, I think the messy outline, especially for the hair, made it look more fluffy and suited the character. Then of course I added the final highlights in the eyes and the star and the charms just to finish off this drawing. All in all, this was a really fun first OC to draw, and I hope Shadowbean Arts likes how it came out. Now, on to the next drawing. Before I start explaining a bit about this next OC, I wanted to show you guys how I start every single drawing. So I do all of my drawings on my iPad on Procreate, and I use an average canvas that is screen size and slightly off-white in the color, just so I don't burn my eyes with the white background. Then I turn on the drawing guide and change it to a color that's faint but it's quite visible. And for most drawings where I use a reference, I import the image directly onto the canvas. I realized that if you color drop an image using the references feature on Procreate, then it's not the true color of the image, but it's a bit more dull. So I always make sure to color drop from images that I imported onto the canvas. Okay, finally onto this wonderful OC. This is Cyrus, or Sunny, from Purple Star, who is a guardian part of the LaGuardia army. He is 23 years old and is a really sunny character who's always smiling, bright and kind. Purple Star describes some of their OC lore with how Sunny has this power called a blessing, which is a celestial blessing related to things such as the planet and stars. This power, however, can only be harnessed through the use of weapons, such as the hammer for Sunny. Sunny's hammer is also super important to him because it was given to him by his late father, which he named Helios after him. So I knew I had to include the hammer in this drawing. I chose Sunny for the half body because I loved the lore surrounding him and I really liked the fun colours and reference sheet for him. His hammer also reminded me of Jace from Arcane, so as some people know, I really love Jace, so I'm a bit biased, but I'm really glad I chose Sunny because the drawing ended up really nice. This time I made sure to use a reference. but honestly, I still struggled a bit with getting the pose right. I'm still not the best with anatomy, but that's why I'm glad I chose a character like Sunny, which kind of forced me to learn how to do this different pose. All of the details were really fun for me. I'm a person who likes characters that have a lot of detail, and Sunny wasn't lacking that anywhere. So, as much as a challenge this was, it was also a highlight. Since there were so many colors, after I did a basic sketch, I went straight into doing flat base colors just to see how they would look like. I find that even if there is a reference sheet, which I always will use for stuff like skin colors and tones, sometimes for an illustration you might need to change how bright or dark a color is to fit in with the rest of the drawing, especially for the shadows. So once I was happy with how the colors looked, I went back to cleaning the sketch. Now, one of the hardest parts to clean up was the plaits on the braid. As you can see, I was really struggling with the braid and I've never really learned how to draw them accurately. I tried doing a zigzag down the middle and then connecting them, but honestly, that looked awful. Instead, I decided to do one section at a time and follow the reference exactly. It took a bit of time, but I noticed that the braid kind of follows the shape of hearts rather than the zigzag, so I followed the hearts down from the last section and connected them. I think the braid looks exactly how I wanted it this way, and I'm super happy I got this learning opportunity, but I'm not gonna lie, I'll probably need a reference in the future when I'm drawing braids again. Finally, I went back and started colouring the clean sketch. I coloured the braid ombre like in the reference, but I added a few strands of red and yellow throughout just to make it look a bit more 3D and interesting. And then I added any other details in the goggles and the jacket. Not forgetting the hammer, I made sure to add all of the cracks and stickers while I coloured them in, since I wanted to do the lineup for just the simple hammer, and then I freehanded the rest of the stickers and the details in a way that looked more natural. To finish it off, I put a blue star behind Sunny just to make him pop out on the page. If I could go back, I'll probably change this into a simple background with just white and probably a few blue elements, because I think it didn't really end up looking as nice as I wanted it to. But overall, it was a really fun drawing and I had a lot of fun drawing Sunny. I hope you like the drawing Purple Star. Now, last but very much not least, we have our full body drawing. Now, this full body drawing was actually one I was really excited about. I know I'm showing this as the last drawing, but in reality this was actually the second drawing I did. I had a lot of ideas on how to draw this character and I was super excited on drawing a different body type to my usual drawings. This beautiful OC is Liliana or Lil Jen, please correct me if I'm wrong, from Huulmi. And as soon as I saw this OC, I loved the aesthetic and the style for her. She very much gave me Y2K and more of a bold style, and I wanted to learn how to draw a plus sized body type, so this was the perfect OC for me to draw for the full body. I found some references on Pinterest of some lovely ladies with a larger body type, and I saw that you can draw them as being composed of a lot of soft curves that made up the muscle of the body. I wanted to do a slightly more dynamic pose, so I had Liliana kind of having her hip out and her hand on her hip. For her face, I followed the model reference that Huulmi provided really closely, and I gave her more of a round face and larger lips and more almond eyes. For her outfit, I gave her off-the-shoulder shirt like in the Pinterest reference, and I also used the same jeans. I'll be honest, the outfit is almost the same as the model on Pinterest, but it suited her really well, so I just had to use it. I then drew in all her accessories and made sure to add the fold lines like in the reference. For her hair, I wanted to draw the very silky hair that kind of flows down her body like the model, but it was strangely hard to achieve that effect. The hair looked less silky and more like bunches, and you can see that I mess around with it using Liquify to follow the body more, but I did end up having a slightly similar effect to what I wanted in the end. The only thing I'm upset about is that I covered the rendering I did for a top, but you win some and you lose some. For the colours, I followed the yellow shirt with the 8, like in the reference Huulmi provided, as well as some of the rendering for the jeans and shoes like the Pinterest post. For her hair, I really wanted to do the kind of stripy raccoon type dye pattern with the purple in the reference, and I really like how it looks. I made sure to keep her eyebrows blonde though to match the character, and I gave her blue eyeshadow like the model. Makeup is super interesting to me as an artist because I've never really experimented with different eyeshadow colors or makeup looks for a character, so this OC really reminded me that that is something you can do. I finished off the colouring in Liliana's jewellery and trying to do a more of a fluffy furry hat texture like the model. I'm not sure if it's as accurate as the reference, but I think it gave a similar effect. Now that's the last drawing of Liliana. I absolutely loved drawing her and I hope you like her, Huulmi. Once again, I'd like to thank Shadowbean Arts 43, Purple Star and Huulmi for letting me draw their beautiful OCs, and I had a lot of fun doing this little redraw, which actually helped me learn a lot about drawing different features and drawing different body types, so thank you. Thank you to everyone else who submitted their OCs. I'm sorry I didn't get to draw them, but don't worry, I plan to draw them soon as well. Before I end this video, I wanted to remind everyone that it's Art Fight Month. I am participating in Art Fight again this year, though I'm already behind, so currently I'll be focusing on revenges before moving on to drawing other OCs. Make sure to follow me on Art Fight, and if you do attack me, make sure to mention you're from YouTube and I'll do my best to try and revenge you. Thanks again to all of you watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and drop a comment on which drawing you like the best. And if you want other ways to support me, I have an Etsy shop. I've added a couple of Deltarune listings recently and I'm working on a bunch of Deltarune keychains and stickers that I'll hopefully list soon. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!